Hey folks, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. This time of another film that a user named Jillian had sent me. And I know a few people had asked my opinion on it. Brawl on Cell Block 99, starring Vince Vaughn, Jennifer Carpenter, and Don Johnson. As this is from the writer-director of Bone Tomahawk, S. Craig Zahler. Probably said the last name wrong. And this is the other side of the cover, which definitely reminds you back in the day of a 70s movie. I think it's trying to be a bit of a 70s grindhouse type of flick. Now, I don't agree with all of these reviews, but I did not hate the film. At the end of the day, I liked the film. I did not love it. I'm not going to be Chris Bombray of Joel Blow, who says this is the best action movie of the year, 2017. This would not have been in my top 10. I still would have preferred John Wick 2 or Bright or Kidnap or Coastal Island or others. A thoroughly American original. It's not that original. There's been a lot of movies set in prison. But I will say, right off the bat, Vince Vaughn. I'm stuttering. Vince Vaughn does a fantastic job. He is the best thing about the movie. He does a great job. Story is very simple. He's a guy who goes to work. He used to be a boxer back in the day in his youth. He's working at this place. He just laid off. He comes home. He finds out that his wife has been cheating on him. Finds a little mark on her neck. He realizes things are not working out. Let's start anew. He's going to go back to what he was doing before, which is being a drug courier. Delivers packages for a guy. I recognize the actor from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show, among others, Marc Blucas. He helps him out. Months later, his wife is pregnant. He goes on a delivery with two guys. The two guys fuck up. The two guys get in a shootout with cops, and Vince Vaughn helps the cops out and stops the guys from shooting the cops. So you really get the idea. This guy, he has a moral compass. He's a good guy. He's a decent guy. He just has a lot of bad luck. And Vince Vaughn, I cannot praise Vince Vaughn enough about it. This is easily one of his best performances, maybe in fact his best performance I've seen, because I've never seen Vince Vaughn like this before. I'm like, where the fuck was this when he did the Psycho remake? Well, that's not going to be the same type of character, to be fair, but I'm just saying, so maybe that's the material given, but it shows that he can do serious work. He has a little bit of a southern accent, but it's not over the top. It's not annoying and irritating. It fits very well. He's big, bald, buff, tough, but a decent guy. He has this big cross on the back of his head. And when he gets to jail, he's in I think was it medium security prison. And then Udo Kier comes by, and Udo Kier says, hey, my employers, which were part of the two guys who fucked up to save the cops, well, guess what? We have your wife, and if you don't help us kill someone in maximum security prison, we're going to cut off the limbs of your unborn baby by hiring an abortionist. And we can even make it that the baby's born alive but with no limbs, and we'll even mail them to you. So he has to fight some guards, break some arms, and go into maximum security prison to do what he's supposed to do in order to save his wife and his baby. And that's the gist of the plot. When there are fight scenes, which I would say there's maybe 4 little set pieces of action. There's the scene where he fights and shoots the 2 guys who are shooting at the cops. There's the scene where he fights this guard and breaks his arm. And fights a little bit of some others to get to the maximum security prison. There's a bit where you fight some people, including this bit here, in that prison in order to get to cell block 99, which, as Don Johnson, the ward of the maximum security prison, says, is the prison within the prison. And then the finale. The fight scenes, they're slow, they're sluggish, but they're supposed to be slow and sluggish because it's not martial arts. It's not very fast. It's slow and steady. And I will give credit to some of the choreography and to the director, because when he films, when these fight scenes do happen, it's a wide shot. It's not it's the opposite of quick cuts. It's the opposite of Taken 2, Taken 3, that kind of shit. And it is definitely brutal at times. There's a moment where he stomps a guy on the ground and he drags the guy on the ground with his foot, and when he turns the guy over, the guy's face is gone. You see broken arms. You see a guy get his head decapitated and put into the toilet. So it can be brutal at times. So I enjoy the brutality. I enjoyed the couple fights when they did happen. The cast did fine. Vince Vaughn did a fantastic job. Like I can't overpraise it enough, Vince Vaughn's work in this movie. Jennifer Carpenter, she did fine. I think I didn't watch too much of the TV show Dexter, but I know she was on there. Was she the girl in Quarantine? I could be wrong on that. If I'm wrong on that, I apologize. Of course, Udo Kier, he's there for a couple minutes total. And like Don Johnson, if you add his running time, 5-7 minutes, at most 10 minutes, at least, at most 10 minutes. Now, the reason I don't love the film, this director did Bone Tomahawk. I did see Bone Tomahawk. I didn't review it because I didn't care to, because I did not like the film. I would say I liked this more than Bone Tomahawk, but Bone Tomahawk I found very, very disappointing. Maybe because it's not the film I wanted when I heard about the film. I'm like, oh, cool, Kurt Russell, and these guys going after cannibals and this horror western out in the West. And then it's very long and very, I almost want to say, pretentious. And I didn't care for the ending of the film and certain characters' fates. And yeah, I just was not a fan of that movie at all. And one thing this director I don't care for is the way he paces his movies. And the way his movies are just way too fucking long. It's way too fucking long. There's no reason. That's a simple story I told you. This is a 2-hour and 12-minute movie. It takes 45 minutes just for him to get on the prison bus going to the medium security prison. There are many instances where you could have edited stuff and the movie would have been just fine. In fact, it'd be better in my opinion because it would have gone. I'm not saying movies always have to be 90 minutes long. There are long movies I enjoy. I love Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Hell, I enjoy Blade Runner 2049. And that's longer than this. I mean, there are other long movies. The Shawshank Redemption is a prison movie that is longer than this, and I enjoy more than this. One day I will review The Shawshank Redemption. Just a film I talk about a lot, but I haven't reviewed. Someday I will. But, okay, for example, at the beginning of the film, which I like Vince Vaughn, where he gets fired, but he doesn't go crazy. He doesn't act like an asshole. He's like, okay, I'll get my stuff. Hey, no, if you want to talk to me, you can talk to me here. I don't work in an office. I can take bad news out here, too. And he gets home, sees his wife. He's like, get in the house. But he's not too much of a dick. He's not too much of an asshole. So it's, for me, easy to root for the guy. There's a moment where he wrecks the car with his hands, even punches and rips out the headlight, which shows his strength for later on. and him and her talk about the communications between them are lacking. Just when they first try to have a baby, there was a miscarriage. But there's certain moments that could have been cut out. For example, this dialogue scene where he tells a slow, long, lumbering story about I go to get coffee and they don't have the words on the front. They have them turned around so I can't tell these three things of cream and milk and the skim stuff. And I have to guess which one it is. And so a lot of times I just try to guess, and I always seem to guess the wrong one, the skim stuff, the one I don't want. And it's the law of averages. And yeah, I did. Maybe it'll even out, but that doesn't mean it'll work out if you even out. Maybe you do have to. Things are not always fair. It doesn't always work out in the long run. Sometimes you have to stop and start anew. I'm like, this fucking long story about the cream and the milk and the skim stuff, and then this fucking line of, I'm tired of getting the skim milk and hope that luck will give me the cream. This entire fucking bullshit could have been cut out. I get what you're trying to do, but it just, for me, came off as clumsy and off and tepid and useless. There's scenes like, you could have just had, we gotta start new, I'm gonna start this new job. I'm gonna go back to what I was doing. Boom. You don't need the fucking, what feels like, I said feels like 5 fucking minutes of talking about this fucking thing with the cream and the milk, and I get what you're going with underneath, but there are either better ways that you could have done it, or it could have been cut out, and I would have gotten the gist of it. And then, the rest of the film is, the rest of that first 45 minutes, getting part on this delivery. It's months later, or going out at night on this delivery. I just think there are times where, yes, I get it's a slow burn, he's taking his sweet time, but I'm like, okay, I get it. The fight scenes are going to be slow, because that's the kind of fights they are, but it's like everything's going slow, and if you're not careful, it's going to go slower than fucking molasses. So that's one of the problems I have. It's 2 hours and 12 minutes long for a story that you could easily tell in 95 minutes. Or an hour and 45 minutes. And yeah, I didn't care for that one piece of dialogue, but there are some other nice pieces of dialogue. When he gets arrested, he has a conversation with the cop. He's like, hey, I know what you did. You have a moral compass. I could do this, do this. He's like, no, sorry, I can't do that. Probably because if I do, his wife's going to be in trouble. And then he has a nice conversation with his wife. His wife goes, I'll come see you. I'll take the baby to see you. He's like, no, I don't want her to see me the first time in a prison. There's some nice conversations there. And then when you get 45 minutes in, you finally get into the prison. Another scene, you have this slow processing sequence where he waits in line and he's putting stuff and he doesn't want to put the ring, and the guy gets pissy. The security guard on the other side goes, well, you know what? Maybe you should take your stuff and go back to the beginning, to the end of the line and start again. So he has to do that again. And then Vince Vaughn puts in Neely. That's better. You need to be civilized even in a prison. There's no point in the scene because we never see the fucking guard again, and there's other ways you could have done that. There's other ways they do the whole he's trying to be calm, including with this guy who's trying to egg him on to join the boxing thing of the prison. And then there's another point where he goes, hey, I'm sorry, I did that. Like, this guy does pretty much the same thing that one fucking guy did. So, and then you have this slow processing scene where he's getting undressed and he gets naked. And I'm like, stay in this small box. And like one of the guards say he's an A minus or whatever the fuck it was. Like he's judging Vince Vaughn's body. I'm like, the fuck is this? Like that whole scene could have been cut out. Being processed and Okay, take your pants off, take your shirt off, take your shoes off. Okay, put up your tongue. Okay, now take your underwear off. Let's see Vince Vaughn's ass. Can someone tell me what was the whole point of that entire fucking sequence? That's what I'm talking about. That's another scene that could have been cut out. That's one of the big problems with the film is the pacing. That's one of the big problems with this director is how he paces his movies. There's some shit that could be edited out. And then that's when Udo Kier comes to visit, says, I worked for my employer. We'll hire an abortionist to clip the limbs of your unborn baby unless you kill this prisoner. And Vince Vaughn goes, well, how the hell am I going to get there? I'm in a different prison. He's like, well, you don't think of something. So he fights his guard. And again, it's wide shots. And if you're expecting Undisputed 2, if you're expecting even like Blood and Bone, that's not really the type of fights you're getting. You're not getting fast fights. So I don't know if I would say they're more realistic because the sound effects are pretty over the top that they use, and you know, Vince Vaughn's almost superhumanly strong. But they were fine choreographed fights, but not best action movie of the year Joe Blow style, not 7.2, 92% Rotten Tomatoes style, but they were not bad to me. And he fights the guy, and it's not edited to shit. It's not quickly cut. It's not, I know I'm repeating this, but it's not Taken 2 or Taken 3. And it breaks the guy's arm, where it's like, ooh, ouch. So it gets bloody at times. Then he gets handcuffed. He fights a couple other guards. Transferred to maximum security prison where he meets Don Johnson. He's put into the cell where it stinks so bad because of the toilet. And he has this fight in his yard because he needs to get in cell block 99. So he fights these guys or hits them against the wall or elbows them or dodges these workbench bars, kicks their ass. And even when the guard gets them, he elbows one guard and breaks the arm of another guard. And he brought to cell block 99, which is more like a dungeon. They put this electroshock thing so they'll buzz the hell out of him when he sleeps, eats, pisses, shits. And throughout this whole thing, Vince Vaughn doing a wonderful job. There's the guard fucked with him going, you know, if you blink, you don't blink until I give you permission, or I'll shock you. And Vince Vaughn looks at him and winks, so he gets shot. And he's brought to the guy he's supposed to kill, but it's really the boss. It's really the boss of Udo Kier, who wanted Vince Vaughn there to fuck with him. Beat the shit out of him, say, if you touch me, we're gonna fuck up your wife and your wife's baby. And you get the idea. The guards are working with him. His place is nice. They beat the shit out of him, knock him out. And Vince Vaughn, he tears his shoes off so he can stop the electroshock things and fights the guards. He beats up one and kind of crushes him against the door with the door. Another he puts into a cell. He goes in, fights the 3 henchmen that are with the bad guy. Again, decent choreography. That's where he scrapes the face off from the floor with one guy. He kills the other 2, including a nasty kick to this one guy's head that looks like his entire fucking row of teeth get knocked out. Just fall out of his... Which, it looked... I'm like, what the fuck? Like, the entire row of teeth, like, this whole thing went... So I'm like, okay, it's kind of a bad effect, but I have fun because it's a practical effect. So I'll stick with that than bad CGI. And he gets the main bad guy, breaks his leg, tells him to talk, and The Udo Kier and the abortionists, they take the wife to Marc Blucas, Vince Vaughn's old friend, the guy here with the gun. And that guy shoots Udo Kier. The wife shoots the abortionist. Vince Vaughn and the wife have a nice final phone conversation. And then that's when Vince Vaughn, he decapitates the bad guy's head into the fucking toilet by kicking his head off. And then Don Johnson comes in, shoots him in the chest and shoots him in the head. And it's very graphic. And you see it. And it's done practically. And I didn't care for that ending as well. I mean, people just say, well, it's going to end that way because the guards are working with the bad guy and there's no way for him to get out. Yeah, no, but it's just personal preference. I didn't care for the ending. I especially didn't care to see Vince Vaughn's character, who I liked, go out that way, in that brutal way. I just didn't care for it. Again, just personal preference. So, the reason I didn't love the film like all these critics did is it's too long in my opinion. It's way too overlong. There are quite a few moments you could have been cut down to at least an hour and 40-minute, hour and 30-some minute movie. This did not need to be a 2-hour, 12-minute movie. Number two, I don't care for the way how it ends. That's just a personal preference. Number three, considering many reviews said this is so action-packed, it's not that action-packed. I mean, 4 little action scenes, which are nice, but they're not, that's not action-packed to me. So I think the action-packed part is misleading. But with that said, once again, I do like the film because I think the rest of the cast do fine for what they have to do. It's definitely a bloody and brutal film. When the fights happen, it's not MTV editing, it's not schizophrenic, it's not shaky cam, it's wide body shots of seeing the little fights happen when they do happen. Again, technically there's 3 of them, 3 pieces, because the first one is he fights the 2 guys a little bit, but he shoots them to stop them from killing the cops. But in the prison, you really get into 3 little sections of the fights. And Vince Vaughn, especially, I think it's worth a watch to anybody just for Vince Vaughn's performance. If you like it, I can understand. If you don't like it, I can understand. But Vince Vaughn is well worth the watch. I like the guy. I've liked him in some of his comedy stuff, like Swingers. But if I'm talking about performance-wise, I would say this is the best performance I've seen him give, especially in a more dramatic role. So he's really the cream of the crop, so to speak, in the movie. So I like the film, I just don't love it. But thanks for watching, take care, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.